cold wind swept through the city streets as Henry sat beneath a flickering street lamp, watching people hurry past with warm coats and purpose in their step. He had a blanket wrapped tight around his shoulders and a cardboard sign that read nothing more than a quiet wish for kindness, because the words for his life had long ago run out. Tonight, the train station nearby thrummed with commuters, neon signs buzzing and the smell of fresh pastry drifting through the air, and Henry folded his hands against the chill, used to being invisible. A little boy with a red balloon tugged free from his mother's hand and darted toward the curb, laughing as the balloon bobbed dangerously over the traffic in a careless, ordinary moment. Time narrowed to the speed of a heartbeat as the balloon slipped and the child chased it, tiny sneakers pounding, and Henry saw the world poised to rush past a small life that could so easily be lost. Without thinking, without measuring his own risk, Henry pushed himself up and lunged toward the boy, the city noise blurring into one single urgent motion as he threw his body between child and car. The taxi screamed inches away, a shower of wet light and rubber on pavement, and Henry dragged the little boy back to the sidewalk with hands that shook but did not falter. The mother's face, streaked with panic and then relief, came into view as she scooped her son into her arms and kept saying, "Oh my God, thank you," over and over like a prayer. Henry brushed off the wetness from the child's jacket and handed the red balloon back with a half smile that tried to hide the cold in his bones, saying gently, "Keep him close. The world moves fast, and he is precious." She offered him money with hands that trembled, insisting he accept something for his trouble, but Henry shook his head and answered, "I only needed to make sure he was safe," because the gratitude in her eyes was payment enough. Before she left, she bent down and pressed a small warm hand to Henry's cheek, as if sealing a promise that the moment would be remembered. And the child, named Liam, hugged him with a confidence that felt like light. Henry watched them go, the balloon bobbing away into the evening, and in his chest a soft ember warmed that he had not expected to feel again after so many lonely winters. The days after the rescue slipped by like pages in a cheap calendar as Henry returned to his usual spot near the bakery, folding himself into routines learned over years on the street, grateful for small mercies like pastry crumbs and friendly nods. Liam grew, seasons cycled, and the memory of a man with tired eyes who had given his scarf to a frightened child planted itself quietly in a young heart, watered by stories his mother Sarah told like a talisman against forgetting. Sarah repeated the details often, how Henry's voice had been steady, how he wrapped his scarf around her son, how he refused money, and those retellings became a gentle lesson that the world held unexpected good. Liam carried the lesson into school and then into a life of study, the image of a stranger's kindness shaping his choices and nudging him toward medicine, where he learned to hold fragile things without letting go. Years later, as a medical student and then a resident, Liam treated patients with the same steady hands that a homeless stranger once used to steady him, the echo of warmth returning in each careful gesture. Henry's life, meanwhile, remained a patchwork of kindnesses received and small humiliations endured, and he learned to keep his dignity folded inside him like the last dry blanket in a storm. On many nights, he thought of the boy with the red balloon as one remembers a face at a distance, a gentle reminder that someone had once seen him and called him good. But time is a slippery companion, and the city moves people along its current until faces blur, and Henry hunched over his cup as winter consolidated into a long, tired season of survival. One cold evening, when the sky promised rain and the hospital lights glowed across the river, a taxi slowed and a man rushed out, kneeling beside a collapsed figure beneath the same street lamp where Henry used to sit. Liam's hands were steady and new with urgency as he checked pulse and breath, and when the eyes fluttered open, a resemblance struck him like a memory aligning itself into place. There was the tired smile he had hugged long ago. Recognition arrived like a tide, and Liam whispered the name Henry had been called and the stories of his childhood, and Henry's gaze softened into a look that remembered the quiet warmth of a scarf wrapped for a frightened child. Liam refused to leave him on the curb, carrying Henry gently into the taxi and driving through the rain with a determination that felt like repayment for a favor he had not known he could repay. At the hospital, the long night of care began, with Liam moving between machines and nurses and the man who had once kept him from traffic, and he promised himself he would not let that kindness be swallowed by the city again.